School Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Mean of Revolution, Karmelo Anthony update and F.B.A. news y'all can use. But before we get into that, y'all be sure to wipe y'all feet. That means hit the like button. You in the House of Revolution. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform, y'all.
Was short. Of course, we previously put out that there were going to be 2 days of a hearing in only Wednesday and Thursday. Of course, we are going to have a third day of hearings. The uh, the attorneys believe that it will be commenced tomorrow. But of course, there was a number of alternative events that happened today that is going to make this hearing even much longer. I hope that everyone continue to join on Friday. It is very important that you be here to continue to stand up and stand for the truth of Carmelo Anthony. I'm not going to go back and forward with all of the things that the people
Salute.
and the public heard today through the media, through many. As an advocate and the president of the Next Generation Action Network, I've had to hold in for over a year. I've had to look at people say my name and say different things while at the same time protecting the case at hand. And my first responsibility was always to Carmelo Sincere Anthony. From the beginning of this case, I said that this case could not be won in the court of public opinion, but inside of a courtroom. And I stayed committed towards making sure that the facts were displayed in the courtroom. Many of us could have held a press conference a year ago, 2 years, a year and a half ago, and said many of those things. But that wasn't going to help Carmelo Anthony. It had to be played out in the courtroom. I have beside me attorney Sean Daria, and I want to just shout out to uh, this amazing legal team. The work that they are doing is amazing. Um, um, the coalition of attorneys. I can't speak for them. I don't want to indulge into the criminal case uh, too far. But what I want people to know is follow the facts. It's been displayed. Everything that was said in court today, um, in the facts against Austin and Hunter, it's not some alleged. It's factual. It was submitted to court. It was there during the beginning of the trial. It was accepted by Judge Roach as a factual document. The evidence. There are a number of documents supporting all of that, videos, all of those things. We knew that before June. I cannot speak to the fact of why it wasn't displayed in that trial. At the end of the day, the only person that can speak to that is Mike Howard and Toby Shook, right? And at the end of the day, I'm not going to justify the actions. I'm just going to say that the Next Generation Action Network and these coalition of attorneys stay committed towards making sure that the facts are here regarding this case. You heard it displayed today. And I ask that everyone join us tomorrow as we continue a third day of this long journey of being able to fight for a new trial for Carmelo Sincere Anthony. Anything else, I'll open it for just brief questions, but I ain't going to take too many. Can't answer that. I can't speak for attorneys' legal matters. Any other questions? Correct. I've always disagreed with him on that approach. At the end of the day, you cannot, it's crazy how and I say this respectfully, but I really don't care what no one think of it. Telling black folks to turn the temperature down when we're getting discriminated against is just problematic. And it shows that we have not gotten anywhere when it comes to race relations in this country. We deal with this type of racism and yet bigotry that continue to be displayed in
Peace to
America,
that.
right?
Salute.
And so telling us to let's pipe the temperature down when we're only responding to it. It's kind of like this term of race baiting that has been created, right? I don't know about the race, but I feel like the bait, right? And so the reality is what we saw in the evidence today was years worse of racism and bigotry, right? And that's displayed and it speaks for itself. And I don't want to characterize on it, but in regards to their approach to the case, I did not agree with it. Anything?
um, Damaging information came to light about the Metcalf brothers, but also about Carmelo Anthony. Could that have hurt his case
Don't
if they did not make the agreement and that had come to light?
I don't want to respond to that in regards to because that goes dive into the case, but I think that everything in this trial should have been displayed.
That's right.
And I
That's
think
right.
that the jury
That's right.
was owed everything to come to the facts, right? And I want to say this real quick because and I don't speak for the attorneys of this, uh there was a characterization of 75 pages, right? I've been able to see those things. And if you take a screenshot on 75 page and you put that on the one page and you make all of those things about 50 some documents, it becomes a long document, right? At the end of the day, what you have is more than 30 or 50 full pages of things against Austin and Hunter Metcalf, right? And I ask that when everything comes to light, that people really know the facts about what this case is. Thank y'all, man. I'm going to end it right here. Thank y'all.
Collin County Courthouse. So I just came out of the courtroom, and fam, there's some serious business going on in there. The prosecution, in my opinion, is getting their head beat in, but they're very arrogant. That's the thing that stood out more than anything. It was the arrogance. But Karmelo got some heavy, heavy representation. He got a dream team of lawyers led by none other than Russell Wilson. Uh, Super, super dupe dude. It's really, really hot out here, fam. There's a lot of people inside of the courtroom. These are a few people that are outside. They didn't want to be subjected to the searches and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Uh, but I want to talk about what the prosecutor said inside of that courtroom. The prosecutor tried to talk about Carmelo's text messages where he said that Karmelo was on the verge. On the verge of what? Obviously, he was going to take it and run with the concept of Karmelo being on the verge of wanting to harm somebody, right? But when you say on the verge, I mean, you could be on the verge of, you know, uh, going on a date with somebody that you like. You could be on the verge of you know, quitting a hobby that you uh, like, or even starting a hobby. You know what I mean? You could be on the verge of a lot of things, right? You could be on the verge of, you know, quitting a job. You could be on the verge of listening to your parents. You know, uh, but you leave it up to the prosecutor. He started talking about Carmelo Anthony's text messages, and he tried to make Carmelo Anthony seem like a really, really horrible person. And he spoke briefly on Austin Metcalf's text messages, and well, not his text messages, but his racist graffiti, right? But he would not say that Austin Metcalf was a racist. He wouldn't go that far, but he said it without saying it. You can read between the lines when he say that this dude was reprimanded for racist graffiti. Only a racist would write racist graffiti, right or wrong, right or wrong. What I want to know is who helped him. Normally, when dudes are doing graffiti, somebody is looking out for him. Who was looking out for him? Anybody got any ideas? Yeah. So the idea that he's trying to impress upon the judge is that Carmelo Anthony is this horrible person who deserved 35 years for killing Austin Metcalf, who was really just a really good guy who uh, maybe was accused of doing a couple of bad things. I ain't buying none of that. I said it was self-defense when it first happened, and I'm saying it's self-defense right now. And Carmelo Anthony's attorneys are arguing that there was a lot of mistakes made on the prosecution behalf. In fact, one might even say that what the prosecution did was criminal. At the very least, unethical. At the very least, unethical, which which influenced the jury's decision to find Carmelo Anthony guilty and subsequently give him a 35-year sentence. Now think about that, fam. I want y'all to think about that. Even if Carmelo Anthony, even if there was some doubt that Carmelo Anthony was innocent and he was found guilty, right, by a jury of his non-peers, you really give a person 35 years for killing someone in a fight, where they're in a fight where the person who died initiated the confrontation, where the person who died confronted the person who was accused of killing them? You really give somebody 35 years who ain't never been in trouble with the law before? A kid ain't never been in trouble. People like him. People like him way more than they like the other kid. In fact, the other kid, it's documented that he was a troublemaker. He was a bully. He even bullied cheerleaders. Who the hell bullied cheerleaders, man? I never thought in my life one time that to bully a cheerleader. Cheerleaders make the school look good. Cheerleaders are beautiful. Who bullies a cheerleader? It's documented that him and his brother bullied cheerleaders. But moving on, fam, I'm just saying, like, let's just stick to the rudimentary facts. Carmelo Anthony gets confronted by Austin Metcalf. He warns Austin Metcalf to don't touch him. Austin Metcalf ignores the warning and decides to put his hands on him anyway. At some point, Carmelo Anthony stabs him. How he stabbed him, in the manner is disputable, right? You can dispute it. One could say, okay, he did it like this, it happened like this. The bottom line is, if Austin Metcalf don't approach Carmelo Anthony, it's a very good chance that Austin Metcalf is alive right now today. Barring that he would, maybe get in some type of accident or something like that. But and more than likely, he's alive. He's at college. He's doing things that college kids do. You know, studying, partying, messing with the girls, all of that good stuff, right? But no, he decided to play bully, and he crapped out. Now I understand that a youngster lost his life, but you got to consider how it happened and what part did he play, what role did he play in losing his life. And when you consider that, and then you consider how it went down, and you consider who killed him, and you consider the character of the person who killed him, you consider the record of the person who killed him. You don't give no youngster 35 years. You don't do that. They did that because they could. If you put the shoe on the other foot, I can guarantee you there would have never been any charges. Put the shoe on the other foot and let several black boys approach a little white boy under a tent and threaten his life, and watch what happens. And they run up on that white boy, and that white boy pull out that thing and stick him. Watch what happens. There wouldn't even be charges. This is the sad part about this two-tier system, this two-tier justice system in America. It harms everybody. It hurts everybody. It don't just hurt. It don't just hurt black people. It hurt white people too, because for those white people who think that they can get away with pushing people around and bullying people, sometimes they crap out. They don't always get a chance to weaponize their skin color or law enforcement. Sometimes they crap out. And when that happens, now you got two devastated families. You got one kid on trial for his life, for his freedom, and you got another kid that's in a casket. And then you got the community at odds. Especially when you got a black kid and a white kid situation. Anytime you got a black and white situation in America, man, y'all know how that goes. So the DA said it himself that Austin Metcalf got in trouble for racist graffiti. Who other than a racist would write racist graffiti? So if Austin Metcalf has on his mind that he hates black people and he calling black people the N-word, it wouldn't be a stretch to think that he would walk up to this black kid and try to bully him. That's not a stretch. That's evidence. That's evidence of bad character. Now I gotta call a strike and a ball, fam. I know some of y'all don't like what I'm saying. You don't like what I'm saying, but you can't say I'm lying. If you're honest with yourself, you cannot say that I'm lying. The prosecutor is a bad actor. He's a bad actor. You can, man, if you listen to him in that courtroom, fam, he got that bad actor energy, man. And you put him together with John Roach, the judge who just got recused from the Karmelo Anthony case. This is just one case, remember, fam. This is just one case. There are literally thousands of other cases out there where black young males, black people, period, don't have a shot in hell of being able to defend themselves against a system that has the deck stacked against them. Carmelo Anthony got the best attorneys in the game on his team, and he's still not guaranteed to get a fast shake. That's how much they got the deck stacked, because it's systemic, it's structural. The prosecutor admitted. The prosecutor admitted. Now, we had heard prior to the sentencing, or Carmelo Anthony's conviction, that this dude, Austin, was a racist and he had been reprimanded for racist graffiti. We already heard that, but we didn't hear from the prosecutor. The prosecutor had to speak about it today in the courtroom because he knew that Carmelo Anthony's attorneys was going to bring it up. So he tried to get ahead of the story. He tried to get in front of the story by mentioning it himself before they did it. That's all that was. It ain't like he was being honest. Because if he was being honest, he would have mentioned it straight out the gate. But he only mentioned it to save his butt. He only mentioned it because he knew that they were going to mention it. That's where we are, y'all. I'm gonna be bringing some more footage to y'all. In fact, I'm gonna be talking to Nolan's parents in a few ticks. We just wrapped up the first day for the motion for a new trial. So how do you think it went?
It's mixed feelings.
Yeah.
Everything we've noticed, a lot of things about the boy that wasn't sent out to the public. You agree?
Mm-hmm.
Based on what was told, the narrative, it hurt us, man. It just made us. It's right now. I'm still. It was so much at that time.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Damn, the dude had a penchant for fighting for life.
Yes.
Very, very.
Never
violent.
put out there.
Yeah, like smacking on his friends or so-called friends, smacking
The
on
wordings he was using,
choking his own mama.
Yeah, that threw me off. I mean, your mama. I said, man, you got to be different.
Threatening to slap his dad and he don't do nothing. And this kid right here, like he was a real problem. When I heard all of that stuff, I'm talking about a treasure trove of incidents captured on his phone. It ain't like this is not third-hand knowledge. This is him recording himself in most cases, or passing along text messages.
Yes, and it was very shocking. Like I said, right now, it's so much to take in because it's like, man, what?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody to do that, and how that picture was painted, like it was the perfect angel. I'm just still, like I said, I'm going to shock this to mama.
Yeah.
And you took your mama.
Yeah. Kayla, how hard was it to hear them in there talking, the prosecutor, Worski, speaking publicly about your son, saying things that you know that are not true?
It was very hard. It was very hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard.
Yeah. And as a father, I saw your reaction many, many times. And it was like you wanted to say something. How hard was it not to say something?
Man, it's hard, man. God is real. That's what I can tell you, man. It was hard.
Yeah.
Based on the temperature we have right now, with like I said, it's like, man, the things that was revealed, the mindset of these kids, of them, that's what they do.
Yeah.
My kid could have been enough.
Right.
That's what hurts more than anything. man, as a father, it's like, man, like, what do you, as a black father, well, how can you have a conversation with your son? What can you really tell your son?
Yeah, yeah. Your new attorneys,
Remarkable.
led by Russell Wilson, knocked it out the park.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
knocked it out the park.
yes.
You know, how satisfied is it to know that you have the type of representation that you have?
Mhm.
I mean, it's a blessing.
Yes, yes.
It really is a blessing.
Being God is real. Like I tell them, man, y'all heaven sent, man. We was a family that was lied. We was thinking about they lied on us. We bought cars, we spent the money, we did all this thing. And think about it, they doing the same thing over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attack their jobs. It's if people don't see this is it's like they have a playbook.
Mhm.
Oh, this was going on? All right, it's the play. And everybody know. I got a famous lady tell me this, Titi, I call her Titi. Titi said, man, they know how to stay on task. They know. They stay on code.
Right.
They stay on code. Like the same things happening with them. Same thing. They went to their jobs, they lied about them, saying they blow the money, they this and that. Like, wow.
How do you navigate through those insults and lies? And like, you know, people saying all these untruths, people just saying things that you know to be a flat out lie. How do you navigate through that and try to maintain some sense of sanity? You know, when you want to just explode.
Man, talking to God, this woman here, me and her, we vent. Like I said, I feel like what the Limo used to say there, I cry, you cry. Man, we do more than anything. Like, so we lean on each other right now. I lean on family.
Yeah.
It's a very hard. It's a hard. It's just hard. Period.
Yeah.
Like it's both sides. It's definitely, but it's hard. Like I said, even with the lies. I mean, we was lied on.
Mm-hmm.
We was lied on, and it's just like like I said, it's the same play. It was the same play. And if people don't see the play, is that telling you we can't win for losing?
Right.
Like, you think about it, was the exact same play. They went after their family, went after their job, said they purchased it. They said we did it too. We can't work. Our reputations are ruined. Like with my situation, it's like it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, that's the playbook. You're right. That's what they do. They and then play the victim.
Yesterday before we go inside. If you've been following me while I've been out here this week, we have to line up at 4 a.m. and then we are given cards that they pass out with numbers on the back, and they only allow 40 people in the courtroom. So I am one of the 40. I think I was number 14 or 15 today. And so at 7 a.m., we have to actually line up and go inside. I believe all electronics. So I'm doing this update early. So come on into the room. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned. I'll be doing an update on our lunch break and then coming back with a full live recap this evening. So yesterday, Karmelo Anthony came into court in a suit. The first day for the motion for new trial, he was in dark forest green jumpsuit. But yesterday he came in with a blue suit, white top. Coincidentally, or I don't know if they planned this, but also Russell Wilson had on a blue suit, white top, and so did Mike Howard. He testified yesterday, which was Karmelo Anthony's first attorney. So they all were dressed in blue suits and white tops. All right, so he comes in, he sits down. The attorney, Mike, his appeal attorney, asked if he can be unshackled once again for this hearing. You could tell that the family came in very optimistic yesterday. They were light, jovial, actually able to talk and relax and make jokes with each other during breaks. The first day for the motion to recuse, they were not like that. They were very somber, and because they feel like they suffered through an injustice. So winning the motion for new trial kind of gave them some hope, right? Because they see that there are judges that will listen to the facts and listen and not be biased and make the correct decision. So they came in yesterday full of hope. Judge Chitty, he is who has been appointed to represent, well, not to represent, but to handle the motion for new trial. He came in on the bench 9:34. They had some preliminary matters that they were handling in chambers before things got started. He introduces himself, tell everyone that he has 20 years of experience and he's out of Kaufman County. And the next thing he does is bring in Russell Schaefer, who is the public information officer for this part of the hearings, and he puts him under oath and on the record to testify about why he denied the defense's motion that they filed on Wednesday, asking for not only an overflow room, but also asking for a live stream to the public. So it was very, I mean, if you understood what was going on, you got excited, because what Judge Chitty did was the Waller findings in front of everyone on the record. He showed even the state how it was supposed to be done, because he was putting a restriction on the court appearance yesterday. The defense filed a motion and they asked for this live feed to the public, and he scratched that out on his order and instead just gave the overflow room. But Waller requires, when you put a restriction such as not providing live stream when it's requested, you have to go into Waller and put those findings on the record. And that is the very first thing that Judge Chitty did with this case when he took the bench and introduced himself. So Russell Schaefer sworn in. He testifies to the court about why the live feed couldn't have been done to the public. They just don't have the technical capabilities to do that. And it takes 2 weeks for them to get that set up. So they got the request on Wednesday. They didn't have enough time to set it up for Thursday. He put that on the record. He was able to be cross-examined or direct, ask questions by the other attorneys. And so that was a Waller finding, and it was done. So they addressed that matter, and then they moved to the openings. I will point out that Russell Wilson asked him if they were running the overflow room yesterday. He said yes. And then they said, well, did you do this during the trial? Was it available? And he says that they did not get a request for a live stream for the trial. So what Russell's point was that we never got asked to do this during the trial, right? The judge just made his own decision of having the overflow room for the jury, but like nobody filed a request. And that's the state's argument to this public trial argument that the defense is raising, is that, hey, the first attorneys went along with everything. They were cool with how everything went. They even got Mike Howard to say on the record yesterday during his testimony that he waived the right to a public trial for a security reason. So did the defense, what's the word I'm looking for? Did they object at all? Did they, did they save this objections for something that they could raise? Did they preserve, that's the word I'm looking for, did they preserve this objection during the trial? And so it doesn't seem so, right? Because Mike Howard says, yeah, I went with it as well. When the amended order came out, I waived it because we were all concerned about safety and everything, right? But what Russell Wilson is arguing is that things happened after the trial started that further restricted the court proceedings. There were people that showed up, that traveled from out of town, that were turned away. They were doing what the judge said in his main order by coming through the door at 8:50. But guess what? You actually had to be in line at 6 a.m. if you were trying to get in, but that wasn't stated. That's a further restriction. And so those things were happening, occurring. So Mike Howard's point is, and Russell Wilson's point is, we didn't know about it. So the defense didn't waive an objection to that. And so we still have the right to bring this Waller finding argument in our motion for new trial. I will say that if the judge finds that the defense preserved this objection, or that they didn't know about certain things until now when they're raising the objection, the defense is going to win the argument on the public trial, because the state did not do Waller findings on the record. And it was so telling when Bill Worski got up in his opening statement, right? So Russell Wilson's already gone with his opening. He's presented all of the reasons that they're filing this motion for new trial, lack of a public trial, the gentleman's agreement that the state benefited from the entire time and then reneged on, and Karmelo Anthony didn't testify, the improper jury instruction that was given to the jurors on provocation, and the cumulative effect of all of that. Bill Worski jumps up. So you expect the first arguments out of his mouth are to tell the court exactly Waller finding. But no, he spent his entire time giving an emotional argument and saying, Judge, you have to understand why we did things the way we did them. Not we did them correctly. Just please understand why we did them the way we did them. It was because we were trying to protect Karmelo Anthony. Everybody was receiving death threats in this case. And so we wanted to keep everyone safe. So this is the reason we had this shadow docket, as Russell Wilson calls it. Now, so that's that first argument. And so back to Russell Wilson's opening, he talks about this shadow docket and how when they got the appeal, they weren't able to just go to the clerk's office and get records and get copies of the motions and everything, because nothing was filed in the record. The judge issued a gag order in this case, July 28, 2025. It was a lot of social media buzz about this case, and he wanted to keep things private because a judge that gave Karmelo Anthony the bond had been doxxed. And actually, there's someone in custody right now in Idaho for giving through it. So they were very concerned. They didn't want anything to get out. So because of that, they created this, Russell Wilson calls it shadow docket, and Bill Worski calls it paper docket, paper case, okay? So back old school, how you had to type up a document, print it out, go to the clerk's office, file it, and get it stamped. The difference here, though, it wasn't really a paper docket, right? Because nothing is file stamped. They wouldn't file anything into the clerk's office because they were afraid of the public getting access to that. So what they did instead was just email documents to each other. So that is why Russell Wilson is calling this a shadow docket. They kept everything private. They had a lot of pretrial hearings in the judge's chambers or by phone. So there were a lot of off-the-record conversations about the pretrial matters and things that happened before the trial started. And Russell Wilson says, like, I've never had a murder trial where there haven't been pretrial hearings in the case. And all of this off-the-record stuff, I've never seen this. And Bill Worski gets up and like the second sentence he says is, this is how we do it in Texas. This is how we do it. We have off-the-record conversations, Judge. This is how we do it here. So this is how we do it here doesn't make it legal. And so that is the defense's argument. Next, they went into this gentleman's agreement. And that is why Mike Howard was brought in to testify. When he walked in, everyone's happy to see him. This is the first time we've seen him since the trial ended, right? So we want to hear from him. Why did Karmelo Anthony seem to have such a sorry defense? Why didn't you cross-examine witnesses that testified for the state about their inconsistent prior statements? Why didn't you mention all of the things that were rumored about Austin and Hunter being bullies and getting in trouble before and all of that? You know why it wasn't brought up? Because of this gentleman's agreement. They agreed to keep all of that out. So because they agreed to keep that out for both sides, for Karmelo's, his bad past, and they agreed to keep out Austin and Hunter's, that's why the case went the way it did. We also heard what things they kept out. Oh, goodness. We heard things like Austin getting suspended 7 times within a 2-year period from school, getting banned from a whole basketball season to attend because he was cutting up at the games, cursing at teachers, pushing down and assaulting young females. They had, I guess, 8 or 10 videos that they found on Austin's phone that he was filming himself messing with black people, putting water on a black boy, slapping a black boy on the head, filming a black boy, and when he asked him to stop, pushing him, filming Austin cheering somebody on, chasing a black boy around the room. They discovered that they had an arrest for graffiti. They put up KKK, kill all black people. They actually were arrested for that and given 12 months probation. Other things came out. I'm trying to remember everything. There was so much that came out, and you're like, as you're hearing this in the courtroom, you're like, oh my God, we should have heard all of this at the trial. But because of this gentleman's agreement, they agreed not to bring any of it in. What did they keep out on Karmelo? There were text messages on Karmelo. There was a picture of Karmelo holding a gun. There was a text message that he sent his girlfriend that said, I want to stab somebody. When I stab somebody, I want to lick the blood off the knife. There was, what the state presumed, that Karmelo's girlfriend had broken up with him the night before the track meet, and she was responsible at 8:30 a.m., hours before the stabbing at the track meet, that Karmelo wasn't taking the breakup well, that he was stalking her, that she was concerned, that she didn't know what he was going to do. And then 3 hours later, he does this. And then we got the text messages about the knife on his phone. So that's, the state felt like that was bad evidence. So that's why they reached out to Mike Howard and offered this gentleman's agreement to say, hey, we got a little leverage on you. You want to take this deal? And Mike Howard says they heard about that offer a few times and they would laugh it off and even say, now, why would we agree to something like that? And then finally, once they had finally seen the 75 pages of extrinsic evidence that they had against Karmelo, which was all things off of his phone, they then felt like the deal was a good deal to keep it out. And so they agreed to this handshake gentleman's agreement. Russell Wilson talked about this. It wasn't written down. It was, once again, something that was done off the record. And that was the breakdown in their argument, is that the state benefited from this agreement, right? Because on Mike Howard's defense, he kept all of this stuff out about the twins. However, when Karmelo Anthony gets ready to testify, that's when the state says, wait a minute, the agreement never covered Karmelo. We never contemplated him testifying. So it blows up, and then Karmelo doesn't testify. That's the defense's argument. Well, Bill Worski, when he had Mike Howard on call, says, well, wait a minute now. I did come to you and I said that you opened the door, and I said that, Karmelo testifies, character evidence comes in, but we sat down for 45 minutes and we went through all of the testimony and we crossed things out and we talked about what would open the door and what wouldn't open the door. And after that 45-minute period, we had another new agreement. We had an amended agreement, and we had a way that Karmelo could testify. That was your fault. Like, not fault, but the defendant himself then decided not to testify. So that's not on us. He did not testify because of this agreement or anything that we broke down. The deal didn't break down. We just amended it and kept pushing, because when we get to the punishment phase, Bill Worski says, I didn't bring up that 75 pages extrinsic evidence on Karmelo. I didn't enter any of that stuff on him. So I kept my end of the bargain the entire time. I don't know what you're talking about. So, it's kind of semantics, right? You get into it. Did it break down? Did it not? Did it influence Karmelo Anthony not to testify? Mike Howard says that it absolutely did, because he felt like Bill ran the courtroom and that he couldn't trust him to keep out the evidence that he had already agreed to keep out if he testified. So that is where things ended yesterday with Mike Howard's testimony. Russell Wilson stated that we would have 4 more witnesses today that would testify about not being able to come into the trial. Also, we're going to call Toby Shook to testify as well. I'm sure it's going to be some more about this gentleman's agreement. And hopefully we can get back to the legal arguments today and the judge can give us an answer, because this motion for new trial must be decided by August 24th, or the judge is denied as a matter of law. That's the law in Texas. So you have 75 days from the day of your conviction to have your motion for new trial heard and an order issued. So if it's going to be a denial, the judge can orally announce that denial from the bench. If he's going to grant the motion for new trial, he must write a written order, and all of the findings must be in that order. That's what on the record means. They have to be either said out loud in court, but for the motion for new trial, the law requires that the order has to be written and put all the findings in. So thank you so much for tuning in for this quick
painful. So let's get right into it, you guys. Obviously, We're seeing all the background of the Metcalf twins, like, oh my God, like all their racist. It's like one thing after the other, the graffiti, the pushing a schoolgirl down. I mean, the list goes on, the videos. You guys were inside the court.
And if you watch the media, the racist media, all they're talking about is a text message where Karmelo Anthony allegedly said he on the verge, he'll stab somebody, lick the blood, some foolishness, so they don't have to talk about all the racist bullying of the Metcalfs.
Courtroom. And then one thing I want to talk about first is Karmelo's text, how people are saying that he was texting with his ex-girlfriend, who they're saying they broke up, and that he had said that he was going to stab anybody and lick the blood off the knife. But you guys were inside a full context for how that out. So I'll just let you guys explain that.
I'm just gonna start off and then let her take it, because she took some of the most well-written, like fully detailed notes. But the thing about that, and I made a post about it earlier, is that text was taken completely out of context from the jump, and it was taken as facts when nobody actually included the fact that it was Prosecutor Bill Worsk's opening statements. That's what he was opening with, in hopes of proving to the judge that this is a part of why, they prosecuted Karmelo the way they did during the trial. Mm-hmm. So those texts off top, when he made that statement, wasn't even facts when he said it. It came out.
And you saw the text messages, right? They showed that did come from his phone. So these text messages are real, correct?
Yes, they are real, but they're a part of a different thread. And that was the most important part. The taking them out of context came from them taking them out of the order to which they were even sent, and utilizing that as the proof that Karmelo went to school with the intent to kill, and he did not. And so the text messages, first of all, the text messages belong to the prior day, the previous night. And the full Karmelo's phone died that night. And so what they have evidence of is a fragmented, is a portion of the text messages sent, because not all of the text messages went to his phone. He started messaging from his laptop. So the full context of the conversation was recorded within his laptop also. And it validated that they never even broke up. So that was never the narrative to begin with. Regarding the spiraling out, things of that nature, it came at a point in time to where that's just not what they were talking about. And so they were connecting dots that did not connect at all. And the licking of the blood. What was interesting regarding this is that with Austin and Hunter, all of their reports were factual. One, for anyone trying to deny it, these came from their phone records, from teachers, students, arrest records, body cam footage, things that were actually documented. All they really had on Karmelo was a long thread of text messages. And in that particular text message, he was saying that if he had ever stabbed someone, he'd lick the blood off the blade. Not that he wanted to stab anyone, not that he did, not that he planned on doing so. And that's the complete opposite of what the text messages for Hunter and Austin were, because they were talking about things that they did, were going to do, wanted to do, things of that nature. And so it was just completely blown up.
And that makes a lot of sense, because like Janetta was saying, like a teenage boy trying to impress a girl, like it's amazing how much context and things matter, because I could see the way you're telling us now, because the media was all quick to jump on and say, he said he would stab somebody, and if he did, he would lick the blood off the. And it's like, I could if somebody's like one up and somebody like, man, I would, if I was ever to do that, I'd lick blood off the night, like playing around. And I think you already see like the white media is wrong with it. You've seen a lot of reports, and they're slow to give us all the information about the Metcalf twins, which is like really heinous and atrocious. It's even way more than we could imagine. I mean, the saying like the KKK and kill all black people and the Heil Hitlers, and like, you're like, whoa, this is way worse than anything I think any imagined. But then to me, this really tells me that Karmelo should have gotten off for self-defense, because all of this prior conduct of the Metcalf twins, it almost makes Hunter seem like he was even more of an aggressor than Austin. And just, you know, and so talk about like inside the courtroom, how they were like, what your thoughts were as they're like letting the information out about all the racist, you know, background of the Metcalf twins.
It was tough because Judge Michael Chitty had already prefaced, I should say, like he literally let everybody know in the courtroom to, you know, keep your noise and comments to yourself. Like, mind your reactions. Yeah. And so when Attorney Russell Wilson is putting these on the, what is that thing called?
I don't know what you call it. It was like a old school little lamp with camera, and you put the paper underneath because the PowerPoint did not work.
So
okay, like those like overhead projectors or something.
Yeah, something like that. So when he's putting it up there, we're seeing it like as he slides it up there. And so when he slides it up there, I'm sure like everybody's kind of like leaning in to read what it says while he's also saying it. And so while he's saying it and we're reading it, it's like just seeing the body movements of everyone. And we're just we're quietly in shock. Like, I can see quite a few people, including myself. I kept looking over to the left to look at the Metcalfs, and it was insane, Sam.
And so Jeff Metcalf was there and Megan Metcalf. Like, what were their reactions? Jeff Metcalf has said some horribly racist things during his live, and then claims that they're not racist, thing like that. But like, how was he reacting to? Because obviously he has to know about stuff.
Of course he does. He was completely different today. That's all. He was just, he was leaning forward most of the time. I don't know if he was stressed, losing hair, couldn't believe it was coming out. I don't know. You know, I can't speak to his actual feelings and emotions, but he was, the body movement was really evident and obvious.
Like as you imagine, because he's been pretty arrogant about this, because yesterday when they recused Judge Rowe, added in Judge Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, as I like to call him, it's like he was kind of, yes, you know, people are celebrating, this doesn't mean anything. So I'm imagining today was really a blow to him, to his whole idea that he's not racist and his kids aren't racist, because, you know, it's too much proof. And some people in the comments are saying, oh, well, you know, seems like, look, he's talking about licking the blood, the text and everything, that seems, and then he goes on to stab somebody the next day. It's like, do you guys believe that this is just kind of coincidental? Is anything within that text message that would lead you to believe that this was this could add up to him, you know, committing the crime or whatnot? Or do you think they're kind of, like you said, it's taken out of context?
I was about to say that text message about the stabbing in the blood was like, I don't want to get the date wrong, but it was definitely like 2023, 2024.
It was years before that incident even took place. So they couldn't have, it couldn't have been a part of anything that was associated with that incident.
Okay, that's very good to know, because I think a lot of people are thinking, I think I've seen almost some of the media saying like, he made this text like the day that this happened. So you guys are saying that this text message did not happen even anywhere near the day before, that this was almost a year or years before it happened, which is dramatically different. You know, and I think it's one thing if he made a text the day of or the night of, and then this happened. But to what you're saying, I realized that this was a long time before. That definitely changes the scenario. And I think with all the background character of the Metcalf twins that we've seen come out, it makes sense in their harassment and their bullying that somebody would be pushed to the point of using self-defense on them. They're very aggressive. They were very aggressive men.
Yeah. And it seems as if they targeted him. That's one of the things that they also left out as well regarding the placement of it. They were trying to make it seem as if Karmelo approached them or was in front of them. And from what they documented, Karmelo was behind them. They were texting, speaking to target him, saying, kill that MF.
And that, I feel like the media should have took that and plastered that all over the way they did the misinformation on, or the context that was missing out of the text with Karmelo. That text about the stabbing in the blood was years ago, but there was a text sent to Austin Metcalf on the very day of the incident, April 2nd, 2025. And it was in regards to Edgar, which is a racial, slur, speaking about Eddie. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about someone sitting on the bench, whatever. And Austin replied to that text saying, kill that motherfucker on the day.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that. And Ashley, you made a video about Eddie and their threat to Eddie and how that could have been a motive for Eddie to go on the stand and say that he didn't know Karmelo. So can you recap that, the video you made on that?
So essentially the video was outlining the gentleman's agreement, in which was a major ground for the retrial. A lot of this was done orally. There wasn't any written record associated with why they decided to go this route. And Worski had some really, really just jaw-dropping. Everybody gasped in the courtroom when he said that this is just a Texas way of doing things. This is just what we do and how we do it, meaning that we often go off the record. We often, go about things in this gentleman agreement's way. So anyway, this agreement led to a lot of this discovery not being put into the trial. Worski's words were he wanted to focus the trial on what was under the tent to avoid opening up anything that could reveal character towards either Anthony or Metcalf. And he was trying to say that it was towards Anthony's benefit, but I honestly do not think that he was telling the truth. I think he was doing it for his clients, and he convinced Anthony's defense that was the case. So anyway, because of this, the text messages associated with, I believe it's Austin. Yeah. Austin speaking to Hunter, Austin saying, using the N-word, saying fuck Eddie, fuck Edwin Parra. I may be saying Parra, saying his last name wrong. And Hunter said, we have two niggas you gonna punt. Meaning, we got two niggas you need to put your hands on. And this wasn't the first of that kind of dialogue and rhetoric towards Eddie. And so they clearly had some type of hostile, in aggression towards him, plans to do whatever with him. And Eddie never knew about it because they never allowed that information to be displayed in court. And so when Eddie was defending them in court, I really feel like Eddie wouldn't have had he known what it was. And it made me just think back, because everybody was mad at Eddie. Like, why did you fold on Karmelo? That was your friend, clearly your friend. And it was proven that it was his friend. And I was confused as to why was Karmelo even indicted on lies. We caught Eddie in a lie on stand. He claimed to not have known Karmelo. The defense proved that you, in fact, you do know Karmelo. Y'all are close, seen in several pictures, in several different instances. There was something there, yet nothing came about that perjury. Like nothing happened. So it's like, why would you do that? Why would you claim that you don't know someone that you clearly know? And I think it's because he was scared. Like a lot of other people were scared of Austin and Hunter.
Yeah, they had a long rap sheet. And everything that we're saying was not a part of opening statement. Everything, this was Attorney Russell Wilson when he had Mike Howard, which was,
their defense.
Karmelo's original lead counsel during the trial. So all of this information came out under testimony while Mike Howard was on the stand. And all of this evidence came directly from the phones of Austin Metcalf. I'm gonna say, because that needs to be said. If I was doing that when I was on with him, remember?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying another. I'm cold.
I was about to say what I did. I just that's on you. In my head. Okay. I can't believe the media ain't well, they did, but they're not talking about it like they're writing it in these articles, but they're not blasting it the way they blasted Karmelo this morning about that stabbing, licking blood.
Are you guys there?
Yep.
We're here.
Okay, sorry about that. This damn internet. We are back, everybody. Keep going, you guys. If you don't mind, maybe back up a tiny bit where we might have cut out. I'm going to kill
We were just saying that
AT&T.
this wasn't during the opening statement. This was during discovery. This was them showing the evidence that they have. And a lot of this came from the mouth of Mike Howard, just telling the truth to what they were sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that they knew
from Austin Metcalf's phone. Like, this was phone records, text messages, photos, like.
And Worski validated it because Worski claimed that a good ton of it came from the state. They provided this evidence. So Worski knew that they had condemning things on their hands, that, and that's exactly why I feel like it was definitely manipulation. I felt for Mike Howard. He seemed like a genuinely good person, and that Worski is
the worsty.
Yes.
Well, him and Shook, him and Bill Shook, or is it Worski? I'm forgetting his first name, but I mean, I think that's the thing. They were in a law firm together. And so what it kind of sounds like is that Mike Howard, if we're letting him off kind of easy, was railroaded by these two, and they were kind of working on either side to get this gentleman's agreement. Because the way I'm looking at it, as like Karmelo has this grain of sand in his hand with this text message that was years before talking about stabbing, and then we're totally weighted down with the Metcalf background, and they knew that, look, if this racist stuff gets out, even an all-white jury might decide to get him off for self-defense. Because, I mean, man, it's even just mind-blowing how much they were hiding. And then, like you guys said, like, this is the way it's done in Texas and probably all over the country. How many of these gentlemen's deals happen to put, a black man away? It's just,
the corruption runs deep.
Yeah. And I mean, these gentlemen's deals are all done at lunch over toddies and like, yeah, well, let's make an agreement, Mike Howard. Look, you have some, like they're probably saying, look, that stabbing thing, if that comes out, he's going to, but if I was Mike Howard, I would have like played their bluff if he could have. It sounds like he was a little scared of their power, and who knows, they're like, look, man, if you ever want to work again in this city, you're going to do this gentleman's agreement, because they're so well connected. And affluency knows fluency. You know what I mean? It's just really, thank God that this is coming out, and thank God for Ben Crump and the Dream Team for getting this appeal. Because what's crazy is we never would have known this, and poor Karmelo is sitting behind bars for 35 years. And hopefully this gives some hope in a new trial. Do you think Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, was he kind of taking some of this in? And do you think they'll get a new trial for Karmelo?
That's the hard part. And I'll be honest. The evidence is condemning. And I feel like they really did argue their case. The structural aspect of it is where I'm not sure. And it's honestly just because I'm not a lawyer. There were the first grounds that they had for the retrial was the closure to public. And we experienced the same issues that they experienced the last time. We didn't have access to the PowerPoint, to which Worski tried to say was not even relevant. But it definitely was. If you saw the PowerPoint that Russell put together, it was excellent. It was excellent. It broke, it would break everything down to where the average person could understand it, because the average person are the people that pretty much fill the courtroom. But today we had like a 30-40 minute delay because audio, camera streaming and all of that was not working. Their IT person, I believe, Cheryl Fman. Sorry.
Okay. The Shlama
he had to get up there and make a sworn statement, which he was immediately proven to be not telling the truth, because he said that everything wasn't working because they did not have notice, to which Russell combated and said, you guys had plenty notice. Everybody knew that this is what we were doing. The streaming was up yesterday. We had video and audio yesterday, although it wasn't perfect in the overflow. And so don't know. He did make great mention towards Roach's like crazy statements towards why he closed off public access. They were more so worried about content creators, the content creators they called out by name.
Oh, wow.
What is it? What did they say? Misinformation. But wait, what? I almost said misinformation monsters. It was something he had.
Misinformation monsters. I love that. So they were
something like that.
And every time he made mention of it, he was like, and some of them are here in this courtroom. He brought up people's criminal records, not associated with this case. He listed another attorney, calling him a want-to-be attorney on a multitude of different occasions. He was asked, these people are present in the room. He referenced to Tiffany Billions, in which their relationship, I feel as if they falsified. She was in overflow, and I believe that was with intent, because she was trying to make sure that the procedure went the accurate way, to which on the first day she was calling out things that were not right. They were telling us that we couldn't get up and go to the restroom. Let me correct myself. If we get up and go to the restroom, then we could not come back in until there was a break.
Wow.
And so
that's crazy.
It was just, it was a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like there's just so much going on in the backdrop of this whole court case. And was, I know Neek at Night, she was down there and everything. And were you guys did you feel racial tension while you were there? I mean, were there talk to me a little bit about that. Obviously, from your reaction, yes.
Because you've been keeping up with pretty much everything as far as the whole Nolan Wells, and then the situation with us and Sarah Fields, and then whenever we started getting attacked.
Yeah.
And she posted the audio footage of what they were talking about on X one night. The guy that was doing the talking
was present, Sippy.
Mysteriously ended up standing immediately behind.
Not mysteriously, he was there, and he was there on I believe he was there on day one as well.
He was.
I just didn't. No one recognized him by face, and so
at night did.
In conversation, he starts calling people racist in the line. And
I think I saw that guy.
Yes, he starts calling people racist in the line. So she starts recording, thankfully, because we don't need no one lying on anyone about anything that happened. She starts recording, and I start hearing some of the context they're talking about, and I turn around, I'm like, whoa, you're Sippy Cup? And he was like, yeah.
What a name for a grown man. Yeah, I'm Sippy Cup.
And I just had to let him have it.
Oh,
because
good.
It was like, you sat here, you're inciting violence, you're inciting hate, but you have the audacity to stand here like you have any integrity or morale. And I asked him directly, why the hell did you do that? Why were you talking about us in that way? And he denied everything. He said that they were talking about organizations and things of that nature, to which is not untrue. He had the immediate statement before he spoke to the hot coal and things of that nature. We played the call back. They were talking about that, but that whole conversation was their attitude towards us, people like the organizations that they were talking about, people that they disagreed with. And so I asked him, I was like, well, straight up, do you, since Sarah has been caught in a multitude of lies, do you feel as if y'all deserve that treatment? And he danced around it so much. He eventually said yes. And I was like, okay, but you know what, your associations, the way that you utilize violence, he did his damnedest to avoid saying that he was inciting violence, that it was violence in general.
Right. That's the only time white people can dance is when they're dancing their way out of racism.
I was like, yo.
Ooh, it's not me. It's not me. Hey, it's not me. It's not me.
I was so frustrated because the energy. I told him, I said, you were a part of the group that stormed the Capitol. You were a part of the group that got all the information that was doxing us and doxing the Anthonys and doxing others.
Right.
I said, you were Sarah's henchman. Hence the reason why you're here. He denied association with Sarah to the extent that he's not her right-hand man. He denied having any involvement in anything regarding the storming of the Capitol. He just said that he was present.
Wow.
Conveniently.
I was just presently there.
Driving her to the trial.
What about, and Sarah was not there, I've heard. She was nowhere to be seen. What, I'm shocked. Mrs. That's what I'd like. She's been making, I know she made a lot of heinous posts about you guys. She's been posting about me lately too. I don't know. She must have a crush on me or something. On you guys too. I'm just like, why don't you keep my name out of your mouth? You know what I mean? Like, she is such a weirdo and a creep, man. She's like, sure, maybe I've met some people like just mentally ill, but what's shocking to me about these kind of people, the Officer Tatums of the world, the Sarah Fields, is like, she feels like she's Lois Lane, or she feels like, I'm just like, yo, at the end of the day, you're on the wrong side of history. Like at the end of the day, you're the mouthpiece. Like, she's like, she put up that Give, Send, Go to raise money for herself. Like, and people are calling me a racist and a white nationalist. And you're like, well, look at the twins that you were defending, especially when we hear all this information. Like, look who you are riding so hard for, because Jeff Metcalf made all those racist statements. I believe it was on her live.
There is some association there.
Yeah.
It's like, because I saw them dap hands, him and Sippy, one of the people on their side, and Sippy dap hands, and it was in a very low profile way or whatever, but I caught it and I was just like, oh, okay. For someone that's not involved, you're involved enough.
Right. No, I'm sure they are, man. It's like kind of that Klan, KKK crew. I mean, it's like, they're such cowards too. You know what I mean? When it comes down to it and you confront them, especially when they're out of the hoods, they're off. They're not online where they can't hide behind a fake burner account to just say whatever they want. Because that's the thing I say about like people like us, like you see our faces, you hear our voices, you can find us, I mean, I was getting death threats over my reporting of the Karmelo Anthony trial, so much so where I have like a close contact at the F.B.A. now. They were threatening my mom. They sent a text to my mom saying, we're going to put you in a body bag and make Sam watch. They threatened to kill all my kids. They sent a picture of the front of my house and said to my wife and said, I hope you have fire insurance. Like, really scared my wife a lot, where she's like, Sam, what are you doing? Is this stuff really worth it? And and it's just, something about Karmelo Anthony and I think the Metcalf reach. And I'm so happy like you guys are reporting on this, and other people, that everybody, I feel like we've really started a movement now where, since everybody's talking about it, it's hard for them to zero their focus in on any one of us, because, it's like, oh, they're all shooting arrows at us now. And it's scary because they're really freaky, scary people. I mean, this guy, I don't know who he was, and the FBI couldn't really they figured out who he was and kind of where he was, but it's hard to be able to do anything about it because they are able to hide their numbers and always text from different numbers. But yeah, I mean, like people like Sarah Fields, it's very sad to me too. It's like sad that you're wasting your life and your time sticking up for racism. Like you're just, it's just like, and these are the type of people that go to church. Yeah.
That, I think that was the most frustrating thing. Of course, you know, there's people that disagree with my approach, but I don't feel that I have to be negative or ghetto or extremely aggressive to get my point across. And to me, it felt good to hear him trip up over his own logic, you know, just exposing that, you know, and now that you know that I know that you know that you don't even believe your own shit. You're just a shitty person. But the lack of that same energy that you had online, now that we're face to face, there's a NAACP, I'm sorry, a Black Panther guy that stood in between us, and
I saw him there.
Yeah, he's stepping towards me, I'm stepping towards him, you know, and so not necessarily on aggression, but just we're talking. We're outside, you know, we're trying to be heard and things of that nature, getting closer than what we should to have this conversation, and just having to have him there, you know. They don't have that energy. They're so much bolder behind their masks, and it's crazy.
Yeah. And that's what I saw, that guy from the Black Panthers standing there. Like, I really appreciated that because I think it's necessary because, you know, you guys are females and these men get up in people's faces. And it's also just an old racist trope that anytime a Black woman wants to stick up for herself or be assertive, that she's being aggressive. You know what I mean? They don't call white women aggressive when they're Karening out. Like, oh my God, I need to speak to the manager. You know, they don't call white women aggressive when white women are, you know, a lot of times way more aggressive. And so I'm glad that guy is there. Just, you know, I saw him like behind Neek while she was talking to that guy, Sippy. What a tough name. And he was just calmly there, like, just in case, letting that dude know, like, you better watch yourself and your manners.
I was impressed. Yeah.
I really love to see that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's getting to that point where, and it's been to that point where it's just like people need to really stand up, and because most of these guys are cowards, unless they're outnumbering people. They're cowards, and they really need to be put back into their holes, like under the rock. You know what I mean? And that's a problem with the administration right now, is they're like letting these guys come out and be like, oh, it's okay for us to come out into the light. You know what I mean? Because, you know, Donald Trump supports this shit and he won't denounce it. And nobody in his cabinet.
Messages.
Yeah, this ultra MAGA stuff is really, it's KKK adjacent. You know what I mean? Like, those red hats are the new hoods, you know, as much as those people, oh my God, I can't believe, you know, racists hate to be called racist. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so funny. It's like they're kryptonite. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, don't call me a racist. You're like, well, quit acting like a racist then, you know?
Facts. Yeah. Facts. But it did in fact get heated, you know, words were exchanged, not just even with us, you know. I got to a point where I said what I had to say. I told them, you should not have a platform. You shouldn't be using your platform for violence, to incite violence. And I turned around because there was nothing else meaningful that you know, or productive to say. But there were several others that had words with him. And some of it got really, really, really heated. And that was, it wasn't even 5 a.m. We're talking about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
No. Oh my God, that's, I feel your pain. I know, like, in the Diddy line, it was always some crazy, like, literally there's just crazy people. And like, I'm like, oh my God, it's 5 a.m. you guys, like, why are we like arguing and so loud and heated? And that's the worst part, is when it's like, you're not even awake and you're having to be so alert. But that's the scary time, at like early in the morning where nobody's around. And that's when that stuff happens. That's when you really have to be alert and careful. But again, I'm glad there's sounds like there's some protection there because, you just never know. And, when people have nothing to lose, those are the most dangerous people.
Absolutely. And that's why I thank Evanique for recording. Because again, it's easy. It would be easy for him to spin a narrative. It would be easy for anything to come out of that. And today, especially what we're talking about with the Karmelo case and more than today, it really, all it takes is an accusation. Somebody said you did something.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you can't prove that you didn't do it, there's no telling how that goes.
Yeah. Especially in Collins County. And they're looking for that. And, I just love that Sarah was nowhere to be seen. Like, what a coward.
Me too.
You know, she's such a coward. And it's just like, wouldn't you rather be on this side of the fence? It feels so much better, like greeting people with love and understanding and articulating that instead of, sticking up for people who don't need to be stuck up for. You know what I mean? Like,
she hates herself.
Yeah,
that's
she clearly.
About Sarah.
Yeah. It's like if I'm being empathetic, I feel bad for people like that who really they don't love themselves. You know what I mean? They've got their own history of themselves and are just constantly pointing out and it's sad. It's like, God, you could be using that platform you have to be inspiring all those, ignorant white people. Like, you know what, actually, maybe we need to take more of a look at a lot of this stuff.
But that would require her to be a better person.
A different person.
Never will.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the problem, because when you look at this, it's like Officer Tatum, like how much money, like what is it worth, like to just be so hateful and to be so racist against your own culture and just not understand that at the end of the day, they will send you back out into the field, Officer Tatum. Like as soon as they're done with you, like he doesn't realize this shit goes so deep. It's in their DNA. And white people, I always say, validate their racist thoughts in their head, because then the white people don't have to do the work to say, maybe I'm wrong about all of this. And when you look in the comment section of Officer Tatum, it's all white people.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all white people just like being comforted and like, yeah, man, you get it.
And it's all a status.
Yeah.
It's
and
a status grab. It's a power grab.
Yeah. And instead of them, trying to learn, trying to be better people, again, what kills me is most of these people are like good old Christians and they go to church, and it's like, you're just not getting anything at all. That's why religion is so failed. It's more about spirituality and how you treat people and want to be treated.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you guys have anything kind of in closing? I know you guys are tired and you got to get up early. But I'm so thankful you guys came on to just have this conversation.
Justice for Karmelo. He was defending himself. Austin and Hunter were aggressors. Worski could pimp a butterfly out of his wings.
Oh, damn. Right.
The kind of talking that he lets on. If you hear it, you will understand even the confusion. The defense tried to fight it to the best of their ability. Yeah. It was kind of hard to do in court. He did not deserve to be indicted, and I hope that he's granted a new trial and that new trial goes his way. Yeah, amen. And was Karmelo there today? Yes. He was. And how did he look? That was just the last thing we didn't talk about. He looked good. He had on a suit today. Okay. Yeah, he looked. I didn't catch the front like so much. Yesterday we caught a smile from him and it just lit our little world up.
He definitely seems like he's in good spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's a baby at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like he's just, like what, a 19-year-old kid? That's just a baby. And I think one thing that's very interesting, I'm sure you guys notice this, but how the media, they always show Karmelo's mugshot and then they show Austin's like football picture or high school yearbook picture, and even like you see the narrative of the media how they want to portray him. And like, why don't they show any pictures of his innocent times or whatnot? And I think I might have lost you guys. It might have froze up. You guys there? We might be buffering. We're buffering. We're buffering. Well, guys, we might just end on that unless the Brantleys come back. Let me maybe take them down and bring them up and see if it works. You guys, I really I love this conversation. Let me see if they're back in here. Are you guys? I think we lost you for a second. Are you guys back?
Yes, my laptop died. I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't worry at all. No, we were just ending out anyway. So again, thank you guys so much for your time. And, maybe even, if you guys want to come back on and we'll talk about, what you guys see tomorrow or whatnot, just let me know. But thank you guys so much for being there. And thank you so much for your activism and your content creation. And thankfully to you guys for really busting open the CETO call, you guys are such a huge part of these cases now. So I know I speak on behalf of everybody that we're just so thankful for you guys. So
thank you so much. And we will be honored. It's truly a blessing. And I hate that we weren't doing it sooner. So we're happy.
Yeah. That's what I wish I would have been doing it sooner too. But you pick up when you pick up, and now we're in it. So it's good to have a team of people who were all kind of fighting for the same thing. And yeah, you guys get some rest and have a great night, and good luck tomorrow and be safe.
Thank you. You have a great night.
All right. Okay. Take care. Thank you. Wow, you guys, that was amazing. That was Janetta and Ashley Brantley. I hope you guys appreciated that interview as much as I did.
As Karmelo Anthony pursues a new trial, there were some bombshell revelations in court today. Take a look at this report.
But now there's in this motion for a new trial, the background reports are being released, and the defense is going first, releasing 20 pages now of Austin Metcalf's behavioral history. Karmelo Anthony was dressed in a suit and tie for this morning's hearing, which began with the defense arguing that efforts by the trial judge and prosecutors to combat threats and deal with disruptions actually prevented Anthony from getting an open and fair trial. But bombshell testimony came this afternoon from Anthony's trial attorney, Mike Howard, about Austin Metcalf's background report that was never presented to the jury. CBS News Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK Kill All Blacks and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several instances of Austin using racial slurs in school, and in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018, while still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach. He was also kicked out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids." At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, "behind our bench was talking wild," Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF." During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2021, he got banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Metcalf also got suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day.
Not too long ago, I made a post about the difference in the way people were responding to the Karmelo Anthony situation and the young men who were with Nolan Wells. People were often saying that Karmelo Anthony was guilty before any trial had ever happened, and they were saying that these young men have clearly done nothing wrong, they should let them go. And I was saying, like, why are we rushing to judgment in one situation, but being asked to not rush to judgment in another? Now, I want to be very clear here. I think justice matters. And here in the Karmelo Anthony situation, it seems as though there's very good reason to think he did not get a fair trial, as the court did not allow testimony into the Metcalf twins' background. It turns out that Austin and Hunter have a significant background of disruptive, violent, aggressive, and racist behavior and racist activities. But the jury didn't get to hear any of that. And my one basic question is, now that you know this, is it unusual that a young Black boy would experience fear when interacting with Austin Metcalf on that night? Is it unusual to think that a young boy who is capable of doing all of those things in Austin Metcalf, he was capable of doing all of those things in that report and more, it's a 20-page document that they released. Is it shocking to you that an African-American kid would encounter that person and ask that person to keep his hands off of him and experience fear when he refused to do so? Justice means put all of the information on the table and in an unbiased way, let the judge and jury determine what is right and what is wrong. That did not happen here. And now bombshell information has been released and there is much, much more to come. Thank you for watching. I'll keep you updated. Follow for more.
Team?
Yeah.
Probably my team.
My ninja, oh no. Hey, listen, man, we got a lot to cover today. We're going to get into all that racism that's going on in Mississippi, the latest that's going on TikTok. Also, we're going to get into some of that Karmelo Anthony stuff been going on because them Metcalf boys, they've been lying about them. Them ninjas was evil, y'all. Come to find out, man, they've been beating up their parents and shit. They was evil. So hopefully Karmelo Anthony get that new trial and hopefully he get out or at least get a less sentence because they got that judge up out of there. because they failed to mention how evil that damn boy was. But before we get into that, y'all make sure y'all hype this video. Y'all make sure y'all get the likes up.
Not doing anything is
Make
not
sure
an
you subscribing to the channel. I know it's a lot of people in the background that's set in their ways. They say to themselves, oh, he got enough subscribers. He got enough likes and hypes. I don't need to do nothing. Right now is the most important time for you to click them buttons because your people is relying on you. We need you. Come on. Join your family. Check this out, y'all.
I know y'all remember this.
You have no idea who you're dealing with.
Any corruption and cover-up starts with your connections.
Ocean Springs is going to have Ocean Springs back.
And guess what town the DA lives in? Ocean Springs.
I understand the public's urgency to know what happened to Nolan, but we are not taking time for time's sake.
Do this not remind you of the Drewski skit when he was doing Erica Kirk?
But we are not taking time for time's sake.
The Mississippi Rising Coalition recently posted this with questions on Facebook for the DA. One question, does the DA have any personal relationships with the friend's parents? And the second one, because she's involved in a lot of these local women's groups, even women's Republican groups, does she have any connection with Judge Ashley Cole? And would that be a conflict of interest? And asking if she should recuse herself from an investigation involving a child of one of her professional colleagues.
Mike, it looks like your boat's taking on water, bud.
Here are actual examples of boats in distress, sinking, taking on water, needing to be rescued and towed. Because I do not believe the alibi of those folks.
I pulled the records and look what was filed today in the Nolan Wells estate case. The legal team has issued a subpoena to CETO Services International, demanding records connected to that July 4th call. This is not somebody asking nicely on Facebook. This is a court-issued demand for records, electronically stored information, and the materials identified in Exhibit A. And baby, they didn't just ask for the little audio clip everybody has been passing around. They are asking for the original native recordings, call detail records, caller identification, dial numbers, start and end times, routing, transfers, conferences, dispatcher information, messages, dispatch records, and the system Jews to preserve those communications. And here's where it gets interesting. The subpoena specifically defines the incident as a July 4th request for assistance near the west or northwest tip of Horn Island, including the report that the bilge pump had stopped working, the vessel was taking on water or sinking, request for a stop value, communication between the dispatcher and the CETO captain, a separate communication involving the vessel owner, member, relative, or grandfather, and any attempted transfer or conference with the caller. Did you hear me? They want the whole communication chain. The principal time window they identify as 2 p.m. through 8 p.m. Central Time on July 4th.
Well, about damn time. We know what's up with that CETO call.
They're going to come for my career.
You said that.
I told them, I was like, they're going to come for my career. I don't know if it is going to be now, in a few weeks, in a few months. I said, but I'm telling you, they are going to come for my career. And when I say they, I'm not talking about any specific group of people, just people who don't like the fact that we are just wanting answers.
Yes.
We're just
Time out. Who? It appears that all the black people support you. Who is going to come for your job? According to the internet of what has been presented on the internet and publicly, she only has one complaint. She has not been fired. I think her conduct should get her fired. The statement that she made at that press conference. Now, you can say whatever you want to say, but if a white person came out and said, you got to talk to your kids about hanging around black people, pretty much, the way they move in spaces where people don't look like them. If a person says something so racially charged and biased, I think that person should not be working in a setting where they have to deal with the people in which they claim that you got to be careful around. That's not reasonable. That's not practical. You are a professional. You can't.
He really think he in some type of damn gang or something like that. What in the hell do Miss Christine Wansley got to do with, like you said, you proving the young men ain't got nothing to do with Nolan Wells unaliving. This goes to show you who he's sent by. Because her speaking about her job and being attacked, she was attacked.
You can't be telling, I raise my kids to watch out, especially if people don't look like you. That is racial. That is a racist thing to say. That is a bias and prejudice thing to say. If a white lady came out and said that, I think it's wrong and I think she shouldn't have her job, and then somebody fired over her saying that, but even then, nobody's firing her. She got one complaint on her job. Ashley Cole, Warren's stepmother, has gotten hundreds of complaints. The woman doing the autopsy, the coroner's office, hundreds of complaints, thousands of complaints, thousands of people calling and trying to get them fired and threatening to kill them. I'm even getting threats just because I interviewed.
To those who are going to comment they can't watch the show anymore because of the support, no worries.
Hi, friends! I'm so excited to learn with you today.
Yeah, this is about to be a Miss Rachel and Bluey household. I don't even got kids. It's about to be me and the damn dogs watching it on every device, on the TV, on the iPad. Girl, we got you. Don't even worry about it, Rachel, girl.
So as of late, the judge in the Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf case was just recused. Now, there's been some things that's been withheld from the people on Austin Metcalf's behavior. Watch this, y'all.
Today's hearing has already brought new, very revealing information about Anthony and Austin Metcalf. That was never brought up at trial, by the way. J.D. Miles has been in the courtroom through this day, and he has the new details.
Well, we expect the hearing today to wrap up at any moment and testimony to continue tomorrow. As many of you know, there was a private off-the-record agreement during the murder trial by both sides to keep the sordid backgrounds of Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, their character and their criminal history, private and out of view of the jury, so they could focus solely on what happened under the tent last year at that Frisco track meet. Now, both sides have decided to release that background history, with the defense going first, releasing 20 pages of Austin Metcalf's behavioral history. Karmelo Anthony was dressed in a suit and tie for this morning's hearing, which began with the defense arguing that efforts by the trial judge and prosecutors to combat threats and deal with disruptions actually prevented Anthony from getting an open and fair trial. But bombshell testimony came this afternoon from Anthony's trial attorney, Mike Howard, about Austin Metcalf's background report that was never presented to the jury. CBS News Texas has also learned new details about Austin Metcalf's background. Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KK, Kill All Blacks, and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin using racial slurs in school. And in 2023, Austin was accused of bullying a black student in class. In 2018, while still in elementary school, Austin and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to his arrest. During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach. He was also kicked out of a football game and texted someone later, "I was about to beat the expletive out of those kids." At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin that someone not on their team, quote, "behind our bench was talking wild," Austin reportedly replied, "Kill that MF." During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 reveal that Austin reportedly called a teacher the B word and used profanity. He told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth. In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, Austin saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2021, he got banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Metcalf also got suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to school the following day. Now, prosecutors, meanwhile, have a 75-page document on Karmelo Anthony's background, which they plan to present to the court tomorrow.
We don't want to hear about Karmelo Anthony. Now, yeah, we're going to do some one-sided shit. That's what y'all do, right? One-sided shit. We don't want to hear about Karmelo Anthony. He's an angel. Y'all just probably got saved from a school unaliving. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He said he was going to bring the ratchet to school. Man, come on, bro.
Service Sam here with a Karmelo Anthony update, and this is a big one. Judge John Roach has been recused. That means that he will no longer preside over Karmelo Anthony's future and over this case. They will be assigning a new judge immediately for and then hoping to get a new trial for Karmelo Anthony. So this is a huge update. You know how it goes in Callan County. They were trying to keep Karmelo in prison for the 35 years.
Brother Jay Reed for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. Absolutely appreciate the love, soldiers.
But he is getting a new trial. There are reports that people are clapping and cheering outside the court building. Now, we're not sure what will happen, but what we do know will hopefully happen is that he will get a fair trial this time. Obviously, what happened is tragic, but the law needs to apply to everyone equally. And Judge John Roach, he went on TV bragging, he got it right, he got it right. Well, no, he got it wrong. It was unconstitutional, is what they have figured out. And so he has been recused, and we will get a new judge, and that is great news for Karmelo. Secret Service Sam out, Samson for president.
So really, this is a reflection on the people that are in charge in Mississippi. This makes them look bad. What makes you think ain't no underhanded shit going on with those people in Mississippi? These uncivilized mutts. Shout out to OG Willie D. Talk to him, Willie.
Held accountable. So this is why this emboldens the rest of them when they see people getting away with this type of stuff. When they see these uncivilized mutts getting GoFundMe's and give send goals, and they raising $500,000 after they kill one of our babies. Or even for those of y'all that's thinking, what can I do? What can I do? There's always something you can do, but not doing anything is not an option. So that's why we're here today, y'all.
Black power.
Black power. Thank you, brother.
I want y'all to hear these two comparisons because Karmelo Anthony's parents was recently interviewed by Willie D. Nolan Wells' parents being interviewed by Pastor Jamal Bryant. I want y'all to hear what both of these parents had to say. Check this out.
Lied. We was thinking about they lied on us. We bought cars. We spent the money. We did all this thing. And think about it. They doing the same thing to Nolan. Yeah. Attack their job. It's if people don't see this is it's like they have a playbook. Mm-hmm. Oh, this was going on? All right, it's the plan. And everybody know. I got a famous lady telling me this, T.D., I call her T.D. T.D. said, man, they know how to stay on task. They know. They stay on code. Right. They stay on code like that. The same thing's happening with Nolan. Same thing. They went to their jobs, they lied about them, saying they blow the money, they this and that. Like, wow.
But they have no problem when Chud the Builder raised all this damn money. They have no problem when Nolan Wells' fake-ass friends raise all that money for fake defamation. But watch this, y'all.
Mo, I'm scrolling through Instagram the other week, and they even created AIs of you buying sports cars.
Oh, my, we just saw that. I was like, what? That doesn't even look... No, I'm happy with my little car. Like, I'm not trying to...
But the intentionality of wickedness,
right, absolutely, it's
to give a bad portrayal is something I've never seen.
No,
at this level and at this height. And the end game, I think, is just intimidation.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times when you hear cyberbullying, I'm thinking it's middle schoolers. So cyberbullying is in high school, but not for adults who are grieving.
So there you have it, y'all. There is a playbook that these people go by. If you're in need or if you're in distress, they're going to shame you for it like you ain't human. They're actually going to put your life on trial when you're in distress. These parents lost their child. Even with the Karmelo Anthony situation, those parents lost a child that is in prison for 35 years, and hopefully this thing get overturned. And you got a lot of people that's online saying that, oh, he ain't getting out. And guess what? they ain't white neither. All skin folk ain't kinfolk, y'all. We must protect ourselves, and more importantly, we must support each other, y'all. There's no time like now for us to get together because we have one common enemy, and that's Satan. And his spirit moves on anybody, no matter what skin color you are. So for us, prayer warriors, for those that have faith in a higher power, we must meditate and pray. But y'all get in the comment section, y'all let me know, do y'all think Karmelo and
I decided I did not want to make any content on what would have been Nolan Xavier Wells' 19th birthday. I personally decided to spend Nolan's birthday watching the noon prayer visual and the 8 p.m. prayer rally. But that was yesterday. Today, I am back making content, keeping the pressure on the opposition's neck. And speaking of the opposition, the three white boys and their lawyer, Little Eddie, is now threatening to sue none other than Nancy Grace and Don Lemon. Wait a second, Little Eddie. When you first came out, you said you're going after TikTokers and Instagrammers and anybody who lied on the three white boys. But now it looks like you're just out for money and not actually seeking defamation, because why are you going after the two content creators that have the biggest bank accounts? Oh yeah, you're Donald Trump's former lawyer. Of course it's all about the bag. When I am done exposing Little Eddie, I'm going to quickly go over Warren's alleged text messages with Christine. I'm also going to expose 3 lies that former Officer Tatum said yesterday on Nancy Grace's show. And honestly, at this point, don't even give me credit for exposing him because it's just easy at this point. Then when I'm done with former Officer Dingbat, we're going to quickly go over the Mississippi DA's statement, but we're going to go over it quickly because there's just a lot of deflection. And when I'm done exposing the opposition, I'm going to happily move over to Christine and her lovely letter to Nolan and yesterday's prayer visual and prayer rally. Then we will close things out with Elmore and a gentle reminder that Christine gave me yesterday on why we need to protect him also. There has been a ton of developments over the past 48 hours in the Nolan Xavier Wells case. Sit back, relax. I'll tell you everything you need to know, and then I'll hand it off to you, the out louders, so let me know what you think in the comment section below. Little Eddie, who are the three white boys' defamation lawyer and Donald Trump's former lawyer, sent 7 letters to Nancy Grace over Twitter. Okay, I am going to show all 7 of them to you. We're not going to read them all out because we do not give these people, the opposition, we do not give them airspace on this channel. But I have to do my due diligence and show you guys what's going on, okay? Here is the first one you'll see here. Dear Nancy Grace, when are you going to stop calling attention and sensationalizing misleading versions of the Cito call and instead admit to your audience the inconvenient truth that at approximately 4:30 p.m. CST time on the 4th of July, there were 24 occupants across 2 boats, blah, 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 blah. Like I said, we do not want to give that. Better from Ed and Tyler. So this is little Ed right over here. And then Tyler, that's Tyler Cox. This is the lawyer whose hat you see on here, like Carl Cox, like just as ridiculous. That is the boy's defense attorney. Okay. Let's go to the second one here. Dear Nancy, letter number 2. Stop asking clown questions. This is your defamation lawyer on Twitter? Clown questions? This is crazy. Goes off, you claim to care about the truth regarding Nolan Wells. I'm really beginning to wonder about that, etc., etc. Let's go on to the third letter. Oh, sorry, this is not the third letter. This is the continuation of the second letter. Again, pause it if you would like to, but just really a waste of your time. You'll see here it ends here. Bad faith, Nancy, clown questions. Ask a bad faith clown question, and you're going to receive an answer about matching blue pickup trucks. But I don't even know what he's talking about, and I don't want to know. And this here is continuing, again, still the second letter over here. You'll see it ends off here. By the way, try letting your guests actually speak instead of constantly talking over them. You might actually learn something. Holy smokes, be better. Notice this one now was just signed Eddie. Tyler Cox was like, please, I don't want to be involved in this. Anyways, let's go to letter 3 now. Letter 3, Dear Nancy Grace, this is just crazy. I've been to Horn Island, Mississippi. You know the actual location, have you? It just irritates me that he says this every single interview. Like, what does having to go on the island have to do with anything? I've been on the island. Yeah, so what? What does that have to do with actually finding if there was a crime committed and who committed it? Like, we don't all have to go to Horn Island to be able to speak on this incident. This is why I do not want to read his letters. I do not want these crazy things to seep into my brain. But I think there's a continuation to part 3, or letter 3. Here we go. Now, here you see, Tyler Cox wants to be back involved with this letter. These people are crazy. Letter 4, Dear Nancy, our completely innocent friends, Warren, Jack, and Morgan, blah, 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 blah. Again, back Eddie and Tyler. Letter number 5, you're hopelessly obsessed with the red herring Cito call, blah, blah, blah. Wake up, you're obsessed with the wrong call, etc., etc. And here is the end of letter 5. Hold on, we got 2 more. I know you're probably already sick of this, but just let me cook. Letter 6, new show idea for you, blah, blah, blah. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have finally come to letter 7 of the ridiculousness. And when we all thought it was over, he came back with one more letter to Don Lemon. Don, you keep taking shots at completely innocent young men, Warren, Jax, and Morgan, yet you have not invited us to speak to you. Why? I thought you wanted answers. You'll speak to anyone, anytime, anywhere. The truth is on our side. Now, little Eddie, I thought when you came out, your warning was to TikTokers, YouTubers, people on social media. And yes, Nancy Grace and Don Lemon are technically YouTubers. But of all the YouTubers, of all the TikTokers and all the Instagrammers, you send 7 letters to Nancy Grace? I wonder why. Why are you going after Nancy? Why you go after Don Lemon? Huh? Is it because you know that Don Lemon got $25 million from CNN when they let him go? Is it because you know Nancy has deep pockets? I thought you were out for defamation. I thought that's what you were going to do. Because you remember, I showed you guys here on this channel already that they sent a lawyer to a Instagrammer. Remember, it was covered all on TMZ, and she laughed in your face and she was like, go ahead and sue me. I have nothing. I'm broke. I'm going to use this to gain more followers on Instagram, and I'm going to make money off of you. Notice that you haven't heard anything about that lawsuit anymore. That was the first defamation, and there's supposed to be more. And then after you saw that backfired, now you're going after the content creators with big pockets. This is to show you how disgusting these people are. And you shouldn't be surprised because he's Donald Trump's former lawyer and also Joe McCann's former lawyer too. We already exposed little Eddie over here on this channel, right? So y'all let me know how you feel about this. But to me, it's very clear as day that the same reason why they put up that Give, Send, Go, and it's probably at what, $200,000 now, it's all about money for these people. That's exactly why they're going on former Officer Tatum's show. Remember in the beginning, it was deactivate our Instagram accounts. Oh, we don't want to talk. We don't want to talk. And now all of a sudden, everybody wants to talk on every single platform. And they want to have former Officer Tatum's verdict bottle in the background promoting. This is all a money grab. That's why these boys are coming forward. That's why they have these lawyers. Because it was like, okay, we have our alibi. We have all of our stuff. Let's go out and make money now. Trust me, this is just the beginning of the grift. It's money for them. They don't care about Nolan. They don't care about nothing. They don't care about finding the truth. They care about money. This is the MAGA right-wing, extreme right-wing agenda. Okay, now, Now that I'm done exposing little Eddie, which these people make it so easy, let's go over now to Warren's alleged text messages that were like leaked out, not from Warren, but from somebody like on TikTok. Oh, sorry, on Twitter. Once again, I am solely doing my due diligence and making sure that you guys are aware of everything. I don't like to do things like this. I don't like to show you things from the opposition because I do not trust them. However, it's out here in the atmosphere. These are alleged text messages between Warren and Christine. Here's what I don't like about them. This was put out by like the female former officer Tatum. Let's not give her name. I mean, you could see it here, but whatever. And now, one, how do we know that Warren didn't delete some text messages out of this thread that he put out? We all know that you could just click the 3 lines and you could delete some things. We should not take anything that anybody puts out without metadata and without confirming that it is authentic. And what these people are doing with these text messages, former Officer Tatum and this other person here on Twitter, they're using this to show, hey, Warren was forthcoming. He was honest. He was texting back and forth with Christine. He was helpful. He was all of this. Again, we have to take everything with not a grain of salt, with a box of salt, because we do not trust these people and we don't trust these opposition. So I'm not even going to read the text message, but I just want to show you so that you know when you come to this channel that I'm going to give you everything. So as I've been talking, I have been showing you here on the side. Feel free to pause and to read what are Warren's alleged text messages between Christine. Christine hasn't confirmed this, nor Christine has confirmed if anything has been deleted or not, okay? Now, talking about exposing, y'all know that I could not do a video without exposing a former officer that we love to expose around here, former Officer Dingbat. I have embarrassed former Officer Dingbat on this channel multiple amount of times. This is probably going to be the worst. Former Officer Tatum was on Nancy Grace yesterday, and he was literally caught in 3 bold-faced lies. And I got the receipts because you know the show's all about facts and receipts. I'm gonna like rename this channel like Facts and Receipts channel. It's getting ridiculous. First, I have proven that former Officer Tatum has been lying about this video/picture. I think that it's a live picture. Y'all know that I was on TMZ. I asked Harvey, did you see the metadata? Harvey's like, yeah, I saw it.
He wasn't on that boat.
Yeah, but Harvey, how do you know? Has former Officer Tatum, has he provided you guys with the metadata? And can you confirm to me right now that it was taken on July the 4th?
That's what we have concluded based on everything we've looked at, metadata.
I asked former Officer Tatum. He said to me in his DMs, I'm going to get it from the boys. Nancy Grace has asked him last week about the metadata. He said he's going to get it. Listen to Nancy Grace once again asking former Officer Tatum if he has the metadata, and he's still saying the same thing. Yeah, I can get it for you.
We just saw some video from your show, and I'm trying to figure out what time and day, if you have a time and a date stamp on that seemingly shows the Triton with a lot of people on it leaving the island, leaving Horn Island. Do you have a timestamp on that?
I don't have the timestamp. I can ask them to see if they can get it to me.
You'll see my DMs right here from 2 weeks ago. Oh, it's really late, but I'm going to ask the boys now and I'll get it to you tomorrow. No, ducking and dodging. The same way how he asked me for an interview. I said, okay, cool. I'll interview. And he's ducking and dodging because he's like the most busiest man in the world. Give me a break. Okay. Now let's move on to the second line. Now, Nancy covered something yesterday about an alleged woman that claims she saw some sort of like altercation on Horn Island between Nolan and somebody. And this woman is saying, hey, I have video of this. My husband took video of this. And if you don't come forward, I'm going to go to the police. Okay. I question why Nancy actually even played this on her show because it's not been authenticated. We don't know who this person is. It's just somebody put something out on Instagram. But she asked Officer Tatum about it and he lied. Listen to this.
has an altercation witness emerged. A witness that claims she saw an altercation at Horn Island. If this is true, if there is a witness who has a husband with her on the boat and they took a certain amount of video, it could change everything. Can we talk about a potential witness to an altercation? And she seems to suggest it was over Katie. Why? Don't know what the altercation was. Maybe it was, hey, leave her alone and get on the boat, or leave her alone. She's my girlfriend, or it could be anything. That is significant. It could prove or disprove your friend's timeline.
Well, Nancy, I think that it's a big obstacle to climb here because I've never heard of this altercation whatsoever. No.
Hold on, Mr. Officer Dingbat. You've never heard of this? Well, that's a little funny because maybe like 2-3 weeks ago on your show, you talked about this exact same story, sir.
I received a DM from someone DMing another person. Now, I'm trying to leave these names out because I want to not mess this investigation up. I think law enforcement already have this, that alluded to the fact that, and I messaged this person because I want to talk directly to the person that I saw the DM from. And we haven't talked to this person yet. But the person said in the DM to another kid that is associated, not any of the kids that I interviewed to talk to, but that could be associated to some degree, that knew Nolan, that this person wrote a message saying, me and my husband saw you arguing with Nolan, and to the effect of you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison.
This is why I call him Officer Dingbat. Bro, how could you have the nerve to go on your podcast, talk about this with people, and then 3 weeks later go on Nancy's show and be like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of anything.
I've never heard of this altercation whatsoever. I've never heard of this altercation whatsoever.
It just shows that you're trying to just cover up for the boys and lie. But excuse me, we have you in 4K on your own platform talking about this. Like it's just getting ridiculous now. But it just shows me that he feels like his audience is dumb, that he could just literally just lie week in and week out and they're not going to care. Well, that's not how it goes down on this side. Okay, bro? Now let's go to the third lie. You're going to hear Officer Tatum again in 4K on his own platform say that he knows beyond a shadow of a doubt, 150%, that when the toxicology report comes back, that Nolan will have had remnants of nose candy. He said somebody told him in his DMs Nolan was taking nose candy on July the 4th, and we're going to see it in the toxicology report. Listen to Tatum, and then you're going to hear what Nancy says after.
There's a particular person whom I know this person's name. I'm not going to disclose it. I'm going to go to the police first, and then I will disclose it if it doesn't interfere in the investigation. But this person allegedly was offering people cocaine, and someone close to Nolan, one of his friends, told me that this person was offered cocaine and rejected it from this person. And I was also told, and this person told me that it's over 100% chance that Nolan was using cocaine during this period of time. This person said it was 150% sure that when the toxicology comes back, that Nolan will have cocaine in his system.
Okay, y'all heard that, right? He went from 100% to 150. Now listen to Nancy.
The autopsy is complete.
Yeah.
There are reports that there is no cocaine in Nolan's system. That's uncorroborated reports,
Okay.
but a good source.
No nose candy, according to Nancy. But whoa, if you all listen to Tatum, he knows everything, right? Give me a break. That's why nobody trusts you, and that's why it's so easy to expose you, Tatum. Now, let me also just put a little asterisk beside stuff here. How does Nancy Grace know about the toxicology report? Remember last week when I told you about Chris Cuomo? Stuff about the autopsy? How does Nancy know stuff about the toxicology report? I thought everything was supposed to be sealed. What's going on, Mississippi DA? What up? Huh? it seems like things are not maybe so sealed. And it seems like certain people have access to things. What's going on? Okay. Now, seeing that we're talking about seeing that we're talking about the Mississippi DA, let's go over to a statement that she put out yesterday. Again, feel free to pause and read if you would like. All the Mississippi DA is saying here is, I don't get to put out information whenever I want, i.e. like Benjamin Crump. She's mad that Benjamin Crump, the lawyers, their team, content creators, we can put out whatever information we can, but she can't. This is all deflection. Also, what a lot of people are saying after reading this is, it seems as though she's preparing the public for some information that they're not going to like to hear. So that's why I don't want to give it too much merit, because we are not here for the deflection. We are not here for the okie doke. She put out the statement, Nolan's birthday, if not the day before or on Nolan's birthday. Hey, my hands are tied. There's only so much I could do. I have to abide by the law, etc. This could be a precursor to bad news coming out saying, hey, this is just the law. We did our investigation. But we will see. We don't trust these people. We don't trust their statements. Again, doing my due diligence and letting y'all know what's going on. Pause and read if you would like. Now, what I would like to move on to is Nolan's birthday. And we're going to start things off with a letter that Christine wrote to Nolan. Today, you are 19, Nolo. There are so many things we want to say, but we will keep it simple. As I sit here and reflect on what an amazing kiddo you grew up to be, we cannot help but feel blessed, honored, proud, but most of all, thankful. Thankful we are able to experience a glimpse of God's love in human form. Although you are no longer physically here with us, we will always celebrate you and the legacy you have left for us to protect. You have taught us so much about life and how every day is a blessing and how we have to do better at just living in the moment. Thank you for being the best son, brother, godson, grandson, nephew, and friend anyone could ever ask for. Thank you for bringing joy, laughter, and real happiness to each of us every day. You are truly our angel. Raising you has been an absolute joy and honor. You will be missed every second of every day, and you will never be forgotten, our sweet sunshine. Happy heavenly 19th birthday, No. Remember, don't eat too much Oreo cake and hug grandma for us. And then she wrote something, I think it's in Filipino, and then she translated it to English. She said, we love you, our beloved son and brother. Love mom, dad, siblings, and the rest of the family. And she closed it off by saying, keep negative comments to yourself. Remember, Nolan is mine and Elmore's son who we lost, which is a message that I always push here. And a message that Christine reminded me about yesterday, but I'll save that for the end. Let's go on quickly to touch over on the prayer visual and the prayer rally. Like I mentioned, I spent the day yesterday watching both the prayer rally and the prayer visual. I'm going to play a clip to show you Elmore and Christine, but I'm also going to play a clip from Al Sharpton where he says that the three boys were also on the call as well. Take a listen.
Nolan was an incredible person, and his loss has definitely affected our family in ways we could have never imagined. So I just ask that you all please continue praying for us, especially today.
Today is a very hard day for our family.
Okay, baby, okay.
Like I continuously say, every day is a new challenge. But today, knowing the way our son was, the phone calls, through the calls to Dad, I did this today, or this one day, or I don't feel right today. Those are the things that's going to be missed the most. His voice.
I've been told that one of the people that was with Nolan has been online watching this. If you want to come forward, call us. I'll get you an attorney. I'll pay for your attorney, your choice. We just want the truth. If you have nothing, to really be concerned about, then you should step forward. All these parents have said from the beginning is they want the truth. So if you want to join in on what we're seeking, you're welcome. We don't have to slip and slide here. We just want the truth about a young man who we should be celebrating his birthday today.
It was reported on TMZ that the three boys were on the call, so I think it probably happened. But the fact that it was reported on TMZ, which we all know is very, very biased, lets me know that they weren't on the call just to be there, to offer their prayers, to offer their condolences. They were there because of the backlash that they got for not going to the funeral. So now it's like, well, let's just be on this Zoom call, because why go to TMZ and why have TMZ let everybody know that you're on? Like, this just makes no sense to me. Okay, let's go over now to the prayer rally that happened around 8 o'clock yesterday. Yesterday's prayer rally was amazing. Pastor Jamal Bryant was there, Benjamin Crump was there, and of course, Christine Elmore and the family were there. I put together maybe like a minute or 2 minutes highlight for you. Take a look.
We're going to miss our son every day. It's going to be hard, but I know that if we continue to lean into each other and keep pushing the issue and asking the main question, the only question, what happened to our son?
Yes.
Justice will prevail. We will not be distracted.
Amen. Amen.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, Lord. Happy birthday.
Now, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to close things off with Christine and a message she sent to me yesterday. And the reason why I want to tell you guys about this message is because it explains to you exactly who Christine is, and it shows you the character of how amazing this woman is. Now, yesterday, Christine posted the happy birthday, and she put it on her Instagram. And I wrote, I said, "Happy born day, young king. We all got your mom's back. Don't worry." And she wrote underneath my comment, "Don't forget his dad's back too. Thank you so much," with a blue heart. Now, I have been raised, my dad raised me, don't ever worry about me, always be there for your mother, always protect your mother, always be there for your mom. And y'all know that I'm very, very close with my mom. She's always supporting me, always watching my shows. Love you. Hi, mom. What's up? And I've always said, I have a soft spot for Christine, because as a son, I know how sons feel about their mom, and I know how moms feel about their son. So that's why I wrote that. But did you hear how gentle her reminder was? Like, thank you so much, but don't forget about Elmore's back too. And the way in which she said it was so loving, like, hey, thank you, but just don't forget about my husband. And it just goes to her character. Now, this is a woman who's grieving. She's at a prayer rally. People are DMing her. There's a bunch of stuff going on. And she's, of course, just lost her son. But she also knows that she has to protect her husband and be there for her husband, who's clearly having a hard time. And that means the world to me. And you know what? A couple of you have said to me in the comment section too before, like, hey, Trent, you always talking about Christine. What about Elmore? What about Elmore? And Christine, you are 100% right. You are 100% right. Like I said, it's how I was always raised, but you guys are 100% right. And I'm going to take that as my learning lesson. Thank you, Christine. And I'm always, from now on, I'm not only going to say protect Christine, I'm going to say protect Elmore and protect Nolan's entire family. But more important than my lesson, I just wanted to share with you the character of this woman, taking that time out to let the world know that it's not only her that we need to protect, but her husband too. And this is the woman who some people are online dragging, that some people are like giving her negative reviews on her nursing thing and putting out an investigation. This shows you the character of this woman. So like I've always said, shame on you guys, or some of you guys out there who are dragging Christine and Elmore and the family in the comment section. This is a beautiful family. Nolan is a beautiful kid. Nobody has ever said anything bad about Nolan. Even the opposition, even Officer Tatum, when you hear him, he's like, Nolan was a great kid, great kid, great kid. And we now know why he's such a great kid. It's because of him being raised by such a great mother and a great father. Elmore, I love you, and we're here to protect you as well. You as well, King. So please, in the comment section,
Willie D Live.
What's up, family? You get a subpoena. You get a subpoena. You get a subpoena. You get a subpoena. Yeah, fam. This Nolan Wells case is heating up. Maybe there'll be an investigation after all. On August 20th, subpoenas were filed on behalf of Nolan's estate, seeking records from the CETO Services International and Ward Marine Services, which operates CETO South Mississippi. The request seeks calls, records, dispatch records, and other material connected to the incident between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. on July 4th, including communications involving the captain, local crew, and people connected to the boat. The family is also seeking records showing whether anyone changed or canceled CETO's response, plus CETO's training material and procedures for handling reports of boats taking on water or sinking. That makes this broader than simply obtaining another copy of the already public distress call. The subpoenas could potentially establish who communicated with CETO after the initial call, what was said, and why assistance ultimately did or did not proceed. Man, hey fam, heads are about to roll. Now, the only question is, I'm thinking like, how much evidence was actually preserved? You know, you hear it all the time. You know, people's memories change, right? People go lost. You know, sometimes people actually die, you know, before these type of cases can be resolved, right? Or solved, right? So the question is, how much evidence do they really have to work with? So what changed? The Wells family's legal team is now using subpoenas to construct the Marine response timeline surrounding the boat emergency, expanding its evidence gathering beyond the earlier subpoenas for Nolan's social media and location records. That's what changed. The legal team is now using subpoenas to reconstruct the Marine response timeline surrounding the boat emergency, expanding its evidence gathering beyond the earlier subpoenas for Nolan's social media and location records. That's what changed. So I put together some notes here, fam, that I want to go over with y'all. So maybe we can offer a little bit more insight here, you know. And these are some arguments, you know, for the new CETO subpoenas that has expanded the Nolan Wells investigation. So let's get into it. You got the investigation. It is not narrowing, it's expanding. The family is now pursuing records beyond Nolan's personal communications. This is a big deal.
This is a huge deal. The biggest question is who made the decisions? The subpoenas could help establish who communicated with Cito after the initial request for assistance and what instructions were actually given. If assistance was canceled or changed, who did it and why? That is potentially more important than the original distress call. The full communication trail could show whether the response changed and on whose authority. On whose authority. The timeline matters. Records from roughly 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. on July 4th could help reconstruct events during a critical period before Nolan was reported missing. Dispatch records are harder to argue with than memories. Witnesses can misremember times and conversations. Call logs, recordings, and dispatch timestamps can provide an independent timeline. The subpoenas may reveal communications to the public that they have never heard. The released Cito audio may represent only part of the story. Now think about that, because a lot of us, we think, hey man, that's the story. What if that's just part of the story? What if there's much more communications? What if there is actual distinct audio out there where you can tell, oh, that's such and such a voice, that's such and such. Oh man. Oh man. The family is seeking a broader set of calls and records. They believe something is out there. That is the only reason why they're doing this. They want to know, why wasn't all of this publicly accounted for earlier? If these records are potentially important to reconstructing Nolan's final hours, it's fair to ask whether law enforcement already obtained and analyzed them. The boat emergency and Nolan's disappearance cannot simply be treated as unrelated without examining the evidence. Investigators need to determine exactly what happened with the vessel, the request for assistance, and the subsequent decisions. Cito procedures could become important. The subpoenas reportedly seek policies and training concerns concerning the boats taken on the water or sinking. That could establish what normally should happen after a distress call and whether the response in this case was unusual. A canceled response wouldn't automatically prove wrongdoing. There could be an innocent explanation, but I doubt it. That's exactly and precisely why obtaining the records matter. And here's the deal, fam. Nolan's friends, if they have not done anything wrong, they should actually be okay with that. Cito procedures could become important. The subpoenas reportedly seek policies and training concerning boats taking on water or sinking. That could establish what normally should happen after a distress call and whether the response in this case was unusual. A canceled response wouldn't automatically prove wrongdoing. That could be an innocent explanation. I doubt it, but there could be. That is precisely why obtaining the records matter. Don't speculate when documentation may provide an answer. This could test people's previous statements. Compare the contemporaneous calls, timestamps, and dispatch records against what witnesses later said happened. The family's attorneys are building their own evidentiary timeline. They're not simply holding press conferences and demanding answers. They're using legal process to seek records. This raises a question for the DA. Will all relevant Cito records be obtained and include in the evidence ultimately presented to the grand jury? Don't rush the evidence, just meet an artificial grand jury timetable. If these records reveal additional witnesses, communications, or discrepancies, those leads should be investigated first. The strongest argument is this, fam. Stop asking us whose story sounds believable. Get the records. Yeah, man, let's get those records. Phone logs, recordings, and timestamps. They might tell us more than any round of interviews. Bottom line, somebody knows exactly what happened to Nolan with that CTO response. The beauty of the subpoenas are we don't have to guess anymore. Yeah, fam. Get the call logs, get the video, get the photographs, get the timestamps so we can get justice.
You guys, a new update in the Nolan Walls case. And baby, when I say this changes everything, it changes everything. A new star witness has come forward in the Nolan Walls case that completely destroys the police narrative and the DA narrative. You guys, when I tell you this star witness is literally a force of nature, it is a force of nature. Okay, so what am I talking about, right? Remember when all this happened, right? Go back to a time before you knew who Officer Django was. I know, I wish there was a simpler time. Okay. And Warren was out there on Horn Island looking like just cold-blooded, in my opinion. Talking about some, people die out here all the time. I know a lot of people that have died out here, right? And it set the stage. It set a narrative. It locked in a narrative that the police, the governor, the DA, all those boys' parents, and everybody, in my opinion, hid behind. Well, baby, this star witness has come forward. And when I say it's a force of nature, it's a force of nature. Who is this mysterious star island? I wrote my own reveal. Who is this mysterious star witness? Baby, the star witness is Horn Island. Now, stop. Before you be like, Tease, I'm gonna hurt you. You just wasted my time. No, I didn't. Because People Magazine have unearthed the fact that in Horn Island, nobody has died from drowning in the last 6 years. And more importantly, even if you go into a decade or 2 decades ago, at most a handful of people, and we're talking 2, 3, 4 people, have passed away on Horn Island or from Horn Island drowning. Again, nobody has died, nobody has drowned on Horn Island in over 6 years, and before that is a sprinkling. Why is this so important? Because you guys, the nature, the geography, the currents is literally what blows this case apart. Let me explain. I had the receipts, and I promise by the end of this, yeah, you might agree with me too. All right, so where do we start? Let's get into this. Okay, first, let's talk about what I want to call the perjury trap, all right? Y'all remember, the boys came out there and started saying, right from the gate, saying people die out here all the time on Officer Tatum's interviews, on the media, on the news, everywhere they could. Now, why is that important? Because some people say that this proves that they were setting a predetermined narrative that they knew was a lie. Okay? How do we know it's a lie? Because and let's make sure we're right, the official Jackson County coroner records, okay, published in People magazine, but more importantly, it's in Jackson County and it's in federal, right? The federal systems, right? They just stepped in and proved that nobody's drowned in over 6 years. Now, hold that snapshot right there, because why is this so important? Why is this a star witness? One, first thing we have to ask, who gave those boys the narrative? Okay? Who gave those boys the narrative that, oh, was it the police? Did the boys say something? The police were like, don't worry, people die out there all the time. And it locked in a narrative that's stuck in the boy's head, but more importantly, it's stuck in everybody's head saying, you just need to accept Nolan drowned. Nolan drowned. Now pause right there, because now we have to splinter, okay? One, it's a predetermined narrative that the police either knew or should have known is not true. It's literally statistically impossible, okay? Horn Island gets hundreds of thousands of visitors a year. That's why the island's so popular, because even though hundreds of thousands of people come out there to drink, to party, to have a good time, the way the currents go, the way the oceanographic, it's so hard for somebody to drown, okay? Now, this could be why Nolan's parents got so concerned when they tried to say, oh, it's a drowning, because Christine grew up in that neighborhood and she knows nobody drowns on Horn Island, okay? So that's one thing that happened. Let's go on the other train of thought. It allowed a narrative to take hold that the police, the DA, the governor, and the sheriff all stood behind, and the lawyer stood behind, making it seem like what happened to Nolan, although it was a tragedy, is something that happens all the time. But here's the thing. When you investigate as police, you cannot anchor to an outcome. You must conduct an objective investigation. Anchoring to an outcome is, I think this was an accidental drowning, and now I'm going to look for evidence to prove it was an accidental drowning. Spoiler alert, they haven't been able to give an autopsy or any real evidence to the public. However, the way an investigation should go is I'm anchoring to finding facts, and wherever those facts lead me is an investigation. By setting up a predetermined narrative that the police, that the news media, and that people around there are running with, that can be clearly proven not to be true, well, it brings in the fact that, did the police put this in the kid's head that made it go into a lie? Or did the children actually, well, did the boys actually run with a narrative that they knew to be false? All right. Again, it seems like a coordinated effort. Now, how does this go with maybe perjury or civil charges? Okay. Again, remember I said the star witness. This was done on Officer Tatum. This was run all over again. When the civil trial comes, if the federal investigation happens, if the NAACP gets a DOJ to do a civil rights thing, those boys will have to sit down under penalty of perjury and say, you said, one, that you knew for a second that lots of people die on Horn Island, and you ran with a narrative that he said, like, this is a normal thing, because you guys just remember in police investigations, it is very normal that if people die out there all the time, you would have reason to suspect that it is accidental. But when hardly any drownings occur, ever, when somebody is young, when they are an amazing athlete, and when it is crowded, what is the odds that they actually drown? It is abnormal at this point that someone drowned on Horn Island. But you sit down with the kids and you say, well, I'm sorry, the boys, and you say, you said that plenty of people die out there, and you know. What are their names? What are the police report numbers? When did they pass away? You claimed you knew them. Not know of them, but you claim you knew them. Give us the names of the people that have died on Horn Island. Why did you say that? If they cannot come up with a convincing answer, and the answer is no, because the official statistics show that nobody's died on Horn Island, you can now make a case that they said that. And they put it out for Officer Tatum's 4 million subscribers, and they put it out on conservative radio, and everybody moved this narrative forward to create an atmosphere of exactly what happened, where there was a predetermined narrative that was pushed forward in order to have an excuse to not accurately investigate Nolan's death. To not actually investigate Nolan's death. Because for what? Because for what? Okay, let's move into the second thing, which is, and I have to take notes, the police and the district attorney's overplay. A real police department, in my opinion, that was concerned about finding the truth with a focus on justice and immediately flagged those boys' statements on video as a massive lie the moment they checked their own county death records. You live there. You know nobody dies. You know it's odd for somebody to die. And you know it's odd for a healthy 6'2" male in the prime of his life who, by the way, was not heavily drinking according to his coach, right? Was not heavily drinking according to his coach, who was there and actually had a long conversation with him minutes before they said the Triton departed. Keep in mind, right? How did you get pissy drunk in 20, 25 minutes, especially when blood alcohol takes time to enter the bloodstream? It looks as if this narrative of he was heavily intoxicated, he was this, he was that, right? It should have did a red flag for the police. The police should have said something's not adding up. This healthy male drowned in a place where nobody drowns. And keep in mind, hundreds of thousands of visitors go to Horn Island throughout the year. Why? Because Horn Island is safe and it's not known to be a place that people drown. So there's no drownings. Nobody was around. He's healthy, whatever. He has a 12-foot, 8-inch thing behind his neck. What actually is going on? All right. Again, by accepting the boys' clearly false death trap myth, and that's what they did. They made it look like on all social media, Horn Island's a death trap. You just need to understand it's not a death trap. I don't care how these are washing machine currents. I don't care how things go. It's not a death trap. It never was. It never was, right? But by accepting the boys' false death trap myth and rushing to a secret grand jury, the DA and the police chief proved they were prioritizing, in my opinion, a small town cover-up over objective data. Okay? And then we have to look at the federal takeover catalyst. This is the exact type of evidence, I would imagine, that makes the Department of Justice Civil Rights and Federal Review unshakable. The NAACP and the family's legal team can present this to a federal judge to prove that the local police departments completely abandoned standard, rational, and investigative procedures. Again, the facts are the facts. And for everybody being like, oh, she just needs to accept. She don't need to accept shit. The Horn Island is not a death trap. The federal records, the state records, the city records all prove that. And everybody in the case proved it. They prove it. The facts are the facts. Horn Island is a surprise witness, baby. You cannot argue with Mother Nature. You can't. So where'd this narrative come from? Okay. Based on the evidence, since everybody wants to talk about evidence, it looks like those police ran an abnormal, biased investigation that completely protected a fabricated story. Because again, the boys grew up there. They're 18 now. 6 years ago, they were 12. They said they personally knew not just a person, and that's even if they knew him, but you knew lots of people that die out on Horn Island. They ran a fabricated story, giving, in my opinion, the federal government every reason to strip the local DA of the case entirely. You guys, let me tell you something. Hold on, let me give you a few more facts. 1 second. Again, sorry, that was my DoorDash, so let me hurry up. Again, just to recap, we're talking about high density crowds versus zero fatalities. Again, Horn Island was never a death trap. The boys, well, Warren at least lied about that. He either knew or had reason to know that it's not a death trap. People don't drown. And the fact that Nolan drowned is something. Again, when people are faced with something that happens that is unexpected and very rare, they are left with panic, grief, questions, because no one drowns on Horn Island. And they knew that when they said that. And Officer Tatum's podcast literally allowed them to spread this narrative without even double checking, without even doing any type of stuff, okay? If thousands of people every year are heavily partying, drinking, and swimming around the island for over 6 years straight without a single drowning, it proves geography and currents are not a natural death threat. A real investigation would have concluded that and noticed that there was something wrong. All right. Also, even if a young athlete of amazing strength is even mildly physically impaired, right? Basic human survival instincts and panic kick in. There is no way somebody even mildly intoxicated would somehow drown without anybody hearing a struggle, screaming, or anything. Let's not forget that Horn Island was super, super packed. Over the weekend, let's not forget, because Nolan's body wasn't bloated, it proves that he never sunk to the bottom, and he was floating on the surface the whole time. People were partying on Horn Island the whole weekend, and not one person saw him until it was all over, and then he magically appeared. Okay, listen. Given all that, if I believe that the investigation was unbiased, they would have actively asked, did something happen to Nolan before he ever entered the water? Again, this is exactly why that 12-by-8 wound on the back of Nolan's neck is so, sorry, I got a call, is so important, okay? The police department had an ethical duty to immediately investigate if that head trauma actually knocked him out or labeled him incapacitated. And that's why a strong, healthy person drowned on an island that nobody drowns on in the last 6 years, and in the last 2 decades, maybe a handful of people. Again, this goes into the anchoring versus objective. Anchoring investigation is when you look for clues to support your pre-agreed on agenda. He drowned from natural causes versus following the facts to see where they lead you. You guys, this hurts the DA. It helps the feds. I do believe that the feds are going to come in and take over this case. The DA and those small town politics, I believe, have overplayed their hand. Again, with this new star witness, baby, it is what it is. It's curtains for those boys. And again, when I say those boys and the false narratives they put out, they have put out several false narratives. The thing about people die all the time on Horn Island, they know that was a lie. That was a 100% lie, and I stand on it. Do you know why? Because the statistical evidence proves otherwise. And this explains why Nolan's mom couldn't accept this, because they were asking her to accept something that statistically, if not impossible, was such a small percentage. That doesn't make any sense. You guys.
Kofi, follow me.